Welcome to our deep dive into the Rana period in Nepal, a time of significant political and social changes under the autocratic rule of the Rana dynasty. For over a century, from the mid-19th to the mid-20th century, this powerful family held sway over this Himalayan kingdom, shaping its destiny in ways both profound and controversial. In this series, we will journey back in time to explore the complexities of this era, delving into the lives of the rulers and the ruled, examining the impact of their policies on the nation's development, and understanding the factors that ultimately led to their downfall. Join us as we unravel the intricate tapestry of Nepal's Rana period, a time of isolation, control, and enduring legacy. The story of the Ranas' ascent to power is one of ambition, intrigue, and ruthless political maneuvering. It all began in 1846 with Jung Bahadur Rana, a shrewd and ambitious military leader. Jung Bahadur Rana. Through a cunning strategy and a series of calculated moves, I orchestrated a coup d'etat, seizing control of the Nepalese government and relegating the Shah monarchs to the status of mere figureheads. Jung Bahadur, establishing himself as the prime minister, laid the foundation for a hereditary dynasty that would rule Nepal for the next century. He implemented the infamous role of succession, ensuring the position of prime minister would pass down through his family line, sidelining the Shah kings. The Ranas, with their iron grip on the military and administration, effectively silenced any opposition, creating an environment of fear and compliance. They amassed vast wealth and lived in opulent palaces, while the majority of the Nepalese population struggled under their autocratic rule. Jung Bahadur's successors continued his legacy, ruling with an iron fist and maintaining the facade of Shah monarchy, while holding the true reins of power. This period witnessed a centralization of authority, with the Ranas controlling all aspects of government and society. The Ranas were known for their lavish lifestyles and their penchant for extravagance. This stark contrast between the ruling elite and the impoverished masses fueled resentment and discontent, sowing the seeds for the eventual downfall of the Rana regime. Under the Rana regime, Nepal became a hermit kingdom, shrouded in secrecy and cut off from the outside world. The Ranas, driven by fear of foreign influence, implemented strict isolationism. Nepal retreated into itself, limiting foreign travel and trade. This isolation froze Nepal in time, stifling intellectual growth and innovation. Economically, Nepal's isolation had a crippling effect. The Ranas neglected infrastructure and industries, exacerbating poverty. The Rana period witnessed a curious paradox in Nepal's development. While the country remained largely isolated and economically stagnant, there was a noticeable, albeit limited, spurt in infrastructure development, particularly in the capital city of Kathmandu. The Ranas, with their vast wealth and penchant for extravagance, embarked on ambitious construction projects, transforming Kathmandu with grand palaces, ornate gardens, and wide boulevards. Common citizen, among the most notable of these constructions were the Rana palaces, sprawling complexes that served as both residences and centers of power. Beyond palaces, the Ranas also invested in infrastructure projects that facilitated their control and enhanced their own comfort. Roads were built, but these primarily connected Kathmandu to Rana palaces and hunting grounds, doing little to improve connectivity for the common people. This selective development, while bringing about some visible changes to the landscape of Kathmandu, did little to improve the lives of the vast majority of Nepalese people. Outside the capital, infrastructure remained woefully inadequate. The contrast between the opulence enjoyed by the Rana elite and the poverty endured by the masses was stark and fueled resentment towards the regime. In the rigid hierarchy of Rana-era Nepal, education was a privilege reserved for the select few. The Ranas, wary of the liberating power of knowledge, maintained a tight grip on access to learning.
For the Rana elite, education was seen as a mark of refinement, a way to emulate their European counterparts.
The vast majority of the Nepalese population remained untouched, trapped in poverty and illiteracy. Despite restrictions, a determined group sought to bring education to the masses. These pioneers established clandestine schools, risking the wrath of the Rana regime.
The spread of education had a profound impact, fostering critical thinking and dissent.
The seeds of change sown by these pioneers led to the downfall of the Rana regime. Under the Rana regime, Nepal's economy stagnated, burdened by the weight of the ruling elite's extravagance and a system designed to maintain their grip on power rather than foster national prosperity.
Agriculture, the backbone of Nepal's economy, languished under a feudal system that benefited a select few landowners, many of whom were Rana loyalists. Farmers, bound by tradition and lacking access to modern farming techniques, struggled to make ends meet, trapped in a cycle of debt and dependence.
The Ranas, with their lavish lifestyles and insatiable appetite for luxury goods, showed little interest in investing in agricultural development or improving the lives of their subjects. Industrial development, key to economic progress in many parts of the world, remained a distant dream in Rana-era Nepal.
The Ranas, wary of any change that could upset the existing power structure, actively discouraged industrialization, fearing it would empower the masses and challenge their authority.
Trade, once a vital part of Nepal's economy, dwindled under the Rana regime's restrictive policies. This economic stagnation had a devastating impact on the lives of ordinary Nepalese people. The Rana regime, built on a foundation of military might and strategic alliances, understood the importance of a strong and loyal army.
The Ranas, acutely aware that their grip on power depended on their ability to quell dissent and project strength, invested heavily in their military, transforming it into a formidable force that would shape Nepal's destiny for over a century.
Jung Bahadur Rana, the architect of the Rana regime, rose to power through his military prowess, and his successors continued to prioritize the army, recognizing its importance in maintaining their grip on power.
They expanded its ranks, modernized its weaponry, and instilled within its ranks an unwavering loyalty to the Rana dynasty.
The Nepalese army, renowned for its bravery and discipline, became a source of both pride and fear.
It served as a symbol of national unity, defending the country's borders and earning a reputation for its fighting spirit, particularly during its service alongside British forces in World War I.
However, the Rana regime's reliance on the military came at a cost.
The army, while defending the nation from external threats, was also used as a tool to suppress internal dissent and maintain the Rana's grip on power.
Any sign of opposition, whether from political rivals or disgruntled citizens, was met with swift and often brutal force.
The Ranas, recognizing the importance of loyalty, showered their soldiers with privileges and rewards.
The Rana era, often viewed through the lens of autocratic rule and societal stagnation, also witnessed a period of subtle yet significant social transformation.
The Ranas, while fiercely protective of their power and privilege, found themselves navigating a complex landscape of tradition and change, implementing reforms that both reinforced existing hierarchies and inadvertently sowed the seeds for a more egalitarian future.
One of the most notable social reforms undertaken during the Rana period was the abolition of sati, the practice of widow burning.
This deeply entrenched custom, considered a mark of wifely devotion, condemned countless women to a horrific death on their husbands' funeral pyres.
The Ranas, influenced by growing international pressure and the pleas of social reformers within Nepal, took the bold step of outlawing this practice, challenging centuries of tradition and marking a significant victory for women's rights.
However, the Ranas' motives for abolishing sati were not entirely altruistic.
They recognized the practice as a barbaric relic that tarnished Nepal's image on the world stage, hindering their efforts to gain international legitimacy.
Furthermore, they sought to consolidate their power by undermining the authority of religious leaders who often enforced such traditional practices.
Despite the complex motivations behind it, the abolition of sati marked a turning point in Nepali society.
It emboldened social reformers to challenge other oppressive customs and paved the way for further advancements in women's rights in the decades that followed.
The Rana regime, seemingly invincible for over a century, finally began to crumble.
The winds of change brought new ideas about democracy and freedom to Nepal.
The seeds of discontent sown by the Ranas' oppressive policies began to sprout.
A new generation rose to challenge the status quo, inspired by ideals of freedom.
Political parties began to mobilize the masses, organizing protests.
Students, intellectuals, and even Rana family members joined the dissent.
The Ranas responded with repression, attempting to silence dissent.
However, the people refused to be silenced, emboldened by a thirst for freedom.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the Rana period in Nepal. We have explored a complex and often contradictory era, marked by both progress and stagnation, by the grandeur of palaces and the plight of the impoverished, by the suppression of dissent and the burgeoning desire for freedom. The Rana regime, despite its many flaws and its ultimately unsustainable grip on power, left an indelible mark on Nepal's history and identity. Their legacy is a complex tapestry of light and shadow, a reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the enduring human spirit that yearns for freedom and self-determination. Stay tuned for more historical insights and stories from around the world.